Hey Rangers fans, gather around because there's a lot to talk about right now. The air around Ibrox is thick with anticipation, frustration, and that familiar fire that comes whenever the club faces a defining moment. After the heartbreak at Hampton, there's no time for licking wounds or pointing fingers. The schedule doesn't wait for anyone, and Rangers are about to step back onto the European stage, this time against Roma. It's one of those fixtures that stirs something deep inside every fan who's ever stood on the terraces, belting out songs under the floodlights. This isn't just another match. It's a test of pride, resilience, and belief. The mood among supporters is mixed. There's disappointment, sure, because nobody likes losing to Celtic, especially when it felt like the team gave everything. But there's also this sense of stubborn defiance, that typical Rangers mentality that refuses to bow down, no matter how rough things get. That spirit is exactly what the lads will need when they line up against Roma. The Italians might not be the same powerhouse they once were, but let's not kid ourselves. There's still a serious side, stacked with technical players who know how to control a game. Yet, history tells us that when Rangers have their backs against the wall, they're at their most dangerous. The European campaign so far hasn't gone according to plan. 3 matches, 3 defeats. Not exactly what anyone expected from a club that's made its mark on the continent in recent years. Genk, Sturm Graz, Brann. Each game left fans wondering where the spark had gone. It's not that Rangers haven't had their moments. It's that finishing touch, that killer instinct, has been missing. But football's a strange game, isn't it? One win can flip everything on its head. And what better stage to do that than at home, in front of a roaring Ibrox crowd? Roma themselves aren't coming into this flying high either. They've stumbled in their last 2 European fixtures, falling to Lille and Victoria Plzen, which has left their supporters asking questions. Domestically, though, they're right in the mix, just a single point off the top of Serie A. That tells you something about their priorities. Italian sides have always been notorious for focusing on their league form over anything else that isn't the Champions League, and that could play right into Rangers' hands. Add to that the fact that Roma will be missing some big names. Paulo Dybala, Evan Ferguson, and Angelino are all sidelined with injuries. And suddenly, there's a glimmer of opportunity for the light blues to make a statement. But let's not sugarcoat things. The margin for error is tiny. Another defeat, and the hopes of advancing could all but vanish. Danny Roll knows it, the players know it, and every supporter watching from the stands knows it. This is about pride as much as progress. The performance against Celtic showed heart and determination, especially considering they played a huge chunk of that game with 10 men. The issue wasn't effort, it was composure, that final touch of quality in the box. Against Roma, they can't afford to let those moments slip away again. Now, when we look at how the team might line up, there are likely to be a couple of changes. Between the sticks, Jack Butland will be keen to bounce back after feeling he could have done more to stop McGregor's long-range strike at Hampton. Still, he's pulled off some massive saves recently and remains one of the few who's consistently stood tall in the pressure moments. James Tavernier, the captain, was everywhere last weekend, literally everywhere. He covered every blade of grass, led by example, and even slotted into midfield at one point to help steady things. The man never stops running. The only concern is fatigue, but knowing Tav, he'll be raring to go again, sleeves rolled up, ready to lead. At the back, it's been a mix of frustration and flashes of quality. Nasser Giga had a tough outing against Celtic, struggling to deal with the pace and trickery on his side of the pitch. But with options thin in that position, he's likely to keep his spot. John Souter, playing at the center of the back 3, has quietly adapted well to his new role. He's not flashy, but he reads the game, brings calmness, and that experience is crucial when you're up against a side like Roma who love to exploit any nervousness. Derek Cornelius, meanwhile, has probably been the standout defender this season. The Canadian's athleticism and ability to play out from the back have been a blessing for Roll's system, and he'll be a key figure once again. Young Jayden Meghoma has also been a breath of fresh air. At 19, he's showing maturity beyond his years and has been one of the few who genuinely looks excited to take risks going forward. Roll's system gives him a bit more freedom to push up the pitch, and when you have that kind of pace on the wings, it can change games in an instant. Rangers fans are beginning to see what this kid can become if he keeps his head down and keeps improving. In midfield, there's always debate. But one name that never leaves the conversation is Nico Raskin. The Belgian might have been frustrated after missing that golden chance against Celtic, yet he remains a vital cog in this team. He's got that drive, that energy, and when he's ticking, the whole side seems to play with more rhythm. Mohamed Diomand's return is another major boost. After dealing with suspension and injury, the Ivorian's ready to step back into European action, and everyone remembers how promising he looked before that rough start against Genk. He'll be desperate to make amends and prove he belongs on this stage. Further up, Mikey Moore could be in for a start after impressing off the bench at Hampton. When fellow Osgard got sent off, Moore came on and instantly injected some life into the attack. He's got that fearless streak you love to see in young players, the kind who don't think twice before taking on defenders. Then there's Danilo, who worked himself into the ground last weekend despite barely getting any service. He's scored 2 in his last 3 and will be hungry to add to that tally. He's not just about goals either. His movement, his pressing, his willingness to battle defenders. It sets the tone for everyone else. And don't sleep on Jaidi Gassama. He might have been disappointed to start on the bench in the last match, but when he came on, he changed everything. His pace stretched the opposition, his dribbling created panic, and it was from one of his shots that Rangers won that late penalty. He's exactly the kind of player who can turn a tight European game on its head with a single run or bit of skill. Beyond the pitch, things are also moving fast behind the scenes. The club's looking to fill yet another key role, this time a director of football operations. It's been a period of massive turnover at Ibrox, with fresh faces coming in both in management and technical roles. Kevin Thelwell, who took over as sporting director in the summer, has found himself under intense scrutiny. Some of his decisions have raised eyebrows, including bringing in his own son, Robbie Thelwell, in what many saw as a questionable move. But despite all the noise, Kevin Thelwell remains firmly in his position, and with the new job opening, it looks like he'll be heavily involved in choosing who steps into that role. The new director of football operations will have their work cut out, bridging the gap between the first team, the academy, and the broader club. Vision. They'll be working closely with Danny Roll, helping shape the structure that defines how Rangers operate day to day. There's even talk that John Hunter Barrett from Wolves could come in as the new academy director, another familiar face for Thelwell. It's clear that the club is trying to build stability after months of turbulence, but fans will want to see results, not just appointments. For all the boardroom chatter and backroom changes, what matters most right now is what happens on that pitch. The players know what's at stake. Ibrox will be electric, the stands packed with fans who live for these nights, who will sing from the first whistle to the last. The atmosphere alone can lift a team, but only if they match that energy with belief, grit, and precision. It's a night for heroes, for redemption, for showing that Rangers still belong on the European stage. The last few weeks have tested everyone's patience, but this is where character shines through. There's a lot more to unpack around this moment for Rangers, because beyond just one European night, what's unfolding at Ibrox feels like a crossroads for the club. You can sense it in the conversations among supporters, in the press rooms, and even in the body language of the players. The last few months have been turbulent, new faces arriving, others moving on, tactical experiments, flashes of brilliance followed by frustration. It's that kind of inconsistency that eats away at confidence, but it's also what makes football so unpredictable. One big win can flip the whole narrative, and that's what everyone's hoping this clash against Roma could be. Danny Roll, still carving out his identity as Rangers boss, faces his biggest test yet. Managing Rangers is unlike any other job in football. The pressure, the expectations, the scrutiny, it's relentless. You can't hide behind excuses because this club's history demands success. Roll has shown courage in his ideas, trying to modernize the way Rangers play, encouraging his side to press higher, move the ball faster, and take risks. But doing that takes time, and patience isn't exactly a luxury that comes easily in Glasgow. Fans want to see progress, not just in possession stats, but in results. That's why this game carries so much weight. Roma are a team built for control. They thrive when they can dictate tempo and force opponents to chase shadows. For Rangers, it's about energy, tempo, and belief. It's about using that Ibrox noise to rattle the visitors, turning the game into the kind of high-intensity battle the Italians don't enjoy. The blueprint is there. Win the duels, stay disciplined, and when the chances come, be ruthless. Too many times this season, those half chances have been wasted, and in Europe, you don't get second invitations. Players like Tavernier and Butland know exactly what nights like this mean. They've been through the highs and lows. They've felt the roars and the heartbreak. Tavernier, especially, embodies what it means to carry the weight of this badge. When he steps onto that pitch, he doesn't just play, he represents. Every tackle, every sprint, every shout to organize his teammates comes from that place of pride that can't be faked. And Butland, you can see he's taken the recent criticism personally. That's not a bad thing. Goalkeepers live on fine margins, and he'll want to prove he's still the safe pair of hands that can carry this team through pressure moments. Further up the pitch, this could be a defining night for the likes of Danilo and Gassama. Both are hungry, dynamic players with something to prove. Danilo's movement can tear apart defensive lines when he's given proper service, and Gassama's pace is the sort that forces defenders into mistakes. Imagine Ibrox erupting when one of them bursts through and sticks the ball into the net. That's the kind of lift the whole club needs right now. Football's emotional. Moments like that restore faith, both in the players and in the direction of the team. Then there's the midfield, where the real battle will take place. Raskin's energy, Diomand's physicality, and Moore's creativity could hold the key. If those three can control transitions and prevent Roma from settling, Rangers will have every chance. It's not just about defensive discipline either. They need to carry the ball with purpose, drive forward, and force Roma's backline into uncomfortable positions. That's been missing in the last few games, that bit of bravery to take risks in the final third. Fans can forgive mistakes when the intent is there, but what they can't tolerate is passivity. Rangers must play like they mean it, like the shirt weighs more than the occasion. While supporters are laser-focused on the Roma match, there's no ignoring the bigger picture behind the scenes. The ongoing reshuffle in the club's hierarchy says a lot about the direction Rangers want to take. It's about structure, accountability, and trying to build something sustainable rather than constantly firefighting. The new director of football operations role isn't just another title to fill. It's meant to connect the dots between the sporting director, the manager, and the academy. The success of that system depends entirely on alignment, and right now, that's what the club has been missing. Too many times in the past, recruitment decisions didn't match the style of play, leading to squads that felt like patchwork rather than carefully planned projects. That's where Thelwell's role becomes crucial. He's been under pressure, no question, but this next appointment might define his time at Ibrox. Bringing in someone who understands Rangers, who grasps the scale of what this club represents, could make all the difference. There's talk of John Hunter Barrett stepping in to oversee the academy, which might signal a real push to strengthen the youth pathway. If that happens, it could finally bring more consistency to the way Rangers develop talent, something that's been lacking since the last generation of homegrown players broke through. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. There's a storm brewing in the blue half of Glasgow, and it's not the weather this time. Word around the city, whispered in pubs, shouted on fan forums, and dissected endlessly across social media, is that Rangers have pulled off the impossible, the signing of Thomas Partey. Yes, that Thomas Partey, the Ghanaian midfield powerhouse once patrolling the center of Arsenal's engine room. Sources close to the club suggest this could be the most audacious move in Rangers' modern history, a signing that could redefine what the club stands for in the Scottish game. There's disbelief and excitement in equal measure. Could a player of Partey's pedigree really be donning the famous royal blue? Those who've seen him train are already whispering about his presence, the calmness on the ball, the strength in the tackle, and that unmistakable authority that comes from years in Europe's toughest leagues. Some fans are calling it a statement of intent, a signal that Rangers are done merely competing and are now aiming to dominate. Others, a bit more cautious, wonder about the cost, the wages, and whether the gamble will pay off. But there's no denying the buzz. The last time Ibrox felt this charged, the club was marching through Europe with belief in its stride. If Partey truly settles into life in Glasgow, he might not just bring muscle and composure to the midfield. He could restore a sense of swagger that's been missing for too long. The chatter around the training ground hints at a new energy among the squad. Younger players are reportedly in awe. Season 1's eager to prove they can match his level. It's as if one man's arrival has lifted the standards overnight. For now, it remains a rumor wrapped in anticipation. But if the whispers are true, and Partey's move is indeed official, then Rangers haven't just made a signing. They've made a statement heard far beyond Scotland. Ibrox hasn't seen a story like this in years, and the blue side of Glasgow can hardly stop talking. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.